The Book of Boba Fett Chapter 7, or the finale of the series, is out. And love it or hate it, it's what we got. So, moving forward, there will be spoilers for the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett in this video. So if you have not seen it, please go watch it, then come back and watch my review later. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Gerald, and I'm a Star Wars fanatic, and you can be a Star Wars fanatic too. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button. You can also join the channel as a member or join my Patreon page, but subscribing is absolutely free. Also, leave a comment, and at the end of the video, I will pick one comment to highlight from the previous video, just as I'm going to do with this video today. I will be highlighting a comment from the last video. So keep those comments coming. They do count, and I do read all of them. With that said, let's get on with today's topic. Today I'm doing a review of Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett. There will be spoilers yet again. Please back away if you have not seen the episode yet, and come back later. I'll also be doing a little bit of a rant in this one, and this is all unscripted, so anything goes. Alright, as I said before, there are going to be heavy spoilers in this review, so please, you have 5 seconds to turn around. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Still here? I wouldn't know. I can't see you. You can see me, but I can't see you. And also, before I start, I just want to say you can't please everybody. Some people are going to take offense to this episode. Some people don't like it. Some people just get defensive over it. And they have good reason for it, I guess. That's their opinion, and they're allowed to their opinion. As am I allowed to my opinion. Doesn't make me stupid, or it doesn't make them stupid. It just means we're different people. And that's how it goes. Okay, moving right along. This is the episode a lot of fans have been waiting for. This is the fight scene, or the war that has been prepared all this time. Even in the beginning of this episode, you can feel the tension building with Boba Fett and Din Djarin and Fennec Shand and the mod people all standing around deciding what they're going to do, where they're going to hide, where they're going to hold out, where they're going to do their fight in for justice. And this explosive fight does not unsatisfy. I mean, it really drives it home. Robert Rodriguez did a great job directing this one. I know a lot of people had trepidations with the last 2 episodes that he directed, but this one hit it. To me, it hit it, and some of you just think it didn't, and I'll get into more of why I think that is later on. But let's start off with the criticisms, or the things that I thought could have been better. Now, once again, spoilers. So, my biggest criticism, or thing I think could have been done better, is that Boba Fett actually would have got the chance to take down the leadership of all the Gatras and the Pike Syndicate, instead of Fennec Shand going in and doing it herself. It was a cool scene, don't get me wrong. I liked seeing it, and I liked the vengeance, and I liked seeing all these guys pay for their insurrections, so to speak. But at the same time, the Pikes revealed that they killed the Tuskens that Boba Fett lived with, and this is a moment I think that was taken away from Boba. He should have been allowed to take them out. Now that means he would have had to leave the fight with the way everything was set up, with the leadership being in Mos Eisley and the fight being in Mos Espa. So I don't know how they would have changed that. Maybe move the leadership a little closer, or maybe into Trandoshan territory or something like that. But that's my one criticism with the show. And one more criticism, not really a criticism, I don't know how to categorize this, but Boba Fett really still doesn't seem to be understanding the role of a crime boss. Now, Fennec Shand and the mods seem to have a little bit of input as to what their strategy should be. Hole up in the sanctuary remains, but Boba goes along with it. He doesn't hold his ground, wanting to go to the palace, which is probably a good thing, because we'd all hate to see Jabba's palace get destroyed. Who cares about the sanctuary? We don't know much about that place anyway, other than everybody got killed and there's no bodies laying around. Maybe they cleaned them up. I don't know. But at the same time, any type of leader does have counsel. They have council members that advise them, advisors that tell them, you know, this would probably be the best strategy. If you look at the President of the United States, for instance, he is the commander-in-chief of the military. Yet most presidents don't know much about military strategy, so they have the Joint Chiefs that jump in and help out with advising what the best strategy for wars or attack or defense or something like that is. So I feel like that's more of the case with Boba Fett in this. So I don't know if I'd really call that a criticism, but something to keep an eye on, because maybe it's foreshadowing that the crime boss job just isn't for him. It seems more suited for Fennec Shand, leaving Boba Fett to go on and do other things. Hint, hint to my theories. Well, I'll get into those later, and I've got into those so many videos. You can go back and look at them. I'll link a few of them in the description. Now, before moving on to the stuff that I really loved about the show, I just want to point out a few things. A lot of people didn't like the way Cad Bane looked, specifically his color. I know his mouth's in the wrong position or whatever, but you got an actor playing the job who doesn't have a mouth on their chin. Sorry, just doesn't happen. I guess they could have used CGI or something, but they went with a practical effect, and I got to admire them for that. Besides, look at Count Dooku in the Clone Wars. He has a really long face. You just want to say, why the long face, Dooku? But so did Cad Bane. Anakin Skywalker's jaw was really square. So was Obi-Wan Kenobi's. But in real life, their jaws aren't that square. I mean, you're not looking at a couple George Clooney's here.
Yikes! Squidward, you're even more handsome now!
Anyway, so back to Cad Bane and his color. He's a lot lighter blue than he was in the Clone Wars. And this could be explained easily because I noticed something. When Cad Bane's walking up to the area where the head of the Gotras are and the head of the Pike Syndicate, you can see a little bit of slowness in his walk and a little bit of being hunched over. His age is showing. And maybe, and just maybe, this is just a theory or just an idea, that Duros, when they age, their color lightens. We see this in other animals in our animal kingdom. Not that he's an animal, but we see it in animals in our own animal kingdom here on Earth. Another moment I'd like to point out that really did well for me was Grogu when he shows up at Pelimato's little dive. R2-D2's the one that pilots him, not Luke Skywalker. I thought that was interesting and a good choice, really. I don't want them to see them overutilize Luke Skywalker. Then we'll start expecting him to come in and save the day all the time. And I'll get to the cameos later when I get into my rant here in just a little bit. When Grogu shows up and R2-D2 tells Pelimato what Grogu's name is, she said, "That's a terrible name." And I thought that was great. That's a little Easter egg throwback at George Lucas, who said that he didn't like the name Grogu. He said it was a terrible name. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's move on to the things I do like about the episode. And there are many things I do like, but I'll just stick with a few of them. The first one, we all know, back when Boba Fett told the Gotras, the heads of the Gotras, to stay out of the way and all will be forgiven. And they agreed, and we all knew they were lying. I mean, it was obvious they were lying, and we all thought, man, you should just drop them all in the Rancor pit now and be done with it. But he didn't. That's another mistake Boba made as the head, as the daimyo. He let them walk away, which he was trying to show he's a different person, trying to rule with respect, and I get that, but we all knew it was a mistake. And in this episode, it showed it. It showed it was a huge mistake. The poor little pig people, or big pig people, got jousted off a cliff. Not real happy about that one. It was kind of a sad moment for me. These guys were loyal to Jabba, then Bib Fortuna, then Boba Fett, and then ultimately got him killed. Another thing I really liked about the show was during the first shootout with the Pike Syndicate between Boba Fett and Din Djarin, where they're flying around on their jetpacks and everything, you can hear the theme in the background playing. It was the end credit music during The Mandalorian Season 2 when they showed Boba taking Jabba's palace. I thought that was awesome. And that part of the show, of this episode, also reminded me of The Mandalorian Episode 1, when Din Djarin and IG-11 are going into the Nikto town and taking them out to get to Grogu, who at the time was just a bounty. So I thought it was really interesting the way they paralleled the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett with the first episode of The Mandalorian. Now, one more thing I really loved about this episode was the moment we'd all been waiting for, and that was the moment Boba Fett climbed the back of the Rancor and took through town and started tearing things up. The whole time I'm yelling, "Eat him, eat him, eat him!" And finally, it ate one of them, and it was awesome. Then the Rancor gets loose and starts being this Godzilla type thing or King Kong type thing, and takes Grogu to use his little Jedi mind powers to calm him down a little bit. But yeah, that moment was a definite highlight in the show, in the entire series, really. Another moment was the showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. The final one, not the first one, the final one. And Boba Fett using a little bit of poetic justice with the gaffy stick going through the chest of Cad Bane. I plan on doing a whole video on just that scene here probably the next day or two, so look out for it. Now, the last thing I'll mention is Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. He's my guy. I'm loving this dude. I am so happy he lived through this battle. I want to see more out of him in the future. And I don't think this story is over with the episode 7 finale of the Book of Boba Fett. I think this story is going to continue, whether that be in The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka series, or they confirm a season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett, which they haven't done yet, so I'm not going to hold my breath until we hear something. But with that said, there's a lot of negativity about this series. There's a lot of people complaining about it that just don't like it. They're outright refusing to like it. And no matter what happens in the show, they're refusing to like it. So we'll see if there's a season 2 that comes out. Now, I'm not going to sit here and beat the drum and say, yes, this was the best series ever made, that every episode was enthralling and beautiful and beautifully written and beautifully shot and all that. No, there were issues with it, and I've mentioned those in other reviews. And I'm going to do another review later on, maybe today or tomorrow or the next day or next week or whenever, of the whole series together, not just one episode at a time. With that said, let me get on to my little rant that I was talking about. Guys, come on. We can't keep being negative in the Star Wars universe. Every single thing that comes out, it gets old just hearing how bad it was, how slow it was. In the beginning, it was too slow. There was not enough action. It wasn't John Wick or Game of Thrones style, or Faster-ister or Furious-ister 18,000 or whatever number they're on now. And it wasn't those. So now we got that episode where there's action all the way through it, and people are still complaining. Why? Because they got spoiled on cameos in the last 2 episodes. Luke Skywalker spoiled them. And I knew that would happen if Luke Skywalker showed up. People only watch the shows to see what cameos are coming on? Really? These shows have their own legs and can draw off of that and can stand on their own. They don't need Luke Skywalker to come in and save the day in every single thing. I'm sorry, yeah, it was neat seeing Luke, but his time was overdrawn as it was in one episode, and I loved that R2-D2 piloted Grogu in because it kept Luke Skywalker out of it without being overused. I know there were a lot of rumors out there that Han Solo was going to show up, or Lando, or Leia, or Chewie, and Luke, and they were all going to be in this final battle. Why? What need did they have to be in this final battle? So what? Luke grew up on Tatooine. Big deal. Chewie grew up on Kashyyyk. He's not over there every time there's a little skirmish. It doesn't matter. They don't need to be there. They had no reason to be in the story, and I think Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Robert Rodriguez saw that. They understood. You know, it was cool having a little side mission with Luke and a little bit of side story with Din Djarin, but Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka did not belong in this episode. And I had said that from day one of this show being announced, that it didn't really make sense to have Luke in the series at all. Well, they did it, and I was wrong on that theory and speculation, and happily. So there was a lot of stuff to come out about the Force and Luke Skywalker himself and how he treats the Jedi Academy versus how the Republic treated the Jedi Academy back in the day. So I'm not really upset about it anymore. I know at first I gave a little bit of negativity on it, but it is what it is. You know, you can't get everything you want, and all your theories can't be correct. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my theories being wrong once in a while. I hate seeing all the negativity. And let me explain negativity the way I see it. And it isn't opposing views. It isn't critiques of the show. I love critiques. Here's one way to critique a show or any type of art. Quote, I don't agree with what they did in this episode. I don't like this part of it. I think I would have done it a little bit different. But the rest of the series has some qualities to it. Okay, that's critiquing. Criticism or hate goes like this. This episode was stupid. It ruined the entire show for me. I hate Star Wars. I hate Disney. I hate Kathleen Kennedy. And anybody that agrees with this show is stupid and a shill. Okay, that's hate and toxicity. That doesn't really have a place in Star Wars. I know a lot of you think, well, I'm a keyboard warrior. I can say whatever I want. And you can. Your opinions are cool to you. Then that's fine. Do what you want. But just keep in mind that critique Proper critique helps art grow. It helps it blossom. It helps the artist gauge what he could do next to better his own art form. Hate shuts down an artist. Toxicity shuts down an artist. All it serves is to stop it from coming. And I'm not saying don't offer critiques. I'm all for it. I'm all for critiques. I'm an artist myself, and I take critique as a feedback, as something to better my form. Where hate, if you were to come at me with hate and toxicity, saying my art's garbage and that it needs to be burned, I'll probably burn it, and I'll probably never create another thing again. And in this case, look at George Lucas. He sold the company. So just keep that as a final thought, and let me know what you think in the comments below of this episode, whether you hated it or whether you liked it, and whether you disagree with it. Just be civil about it. I'm civil about it, and I'll hear your opinions and may even form a different opinion around that if you have something I didn't notice before. So with the mention of comments, I'm going to take this time to go ahead and shout out the comment from the last video that I liked a lot. And this comment comes from Iron Thunderbolt. And Iron Thunderbolt has this to say: no other Padawan in the history of the old Jedi Order was ever given a choice. The right to choose is the fundamental cornerstone of Master Luke's new Jedi Order. Absolutely right. And that's what I was saying in that video about whether Luke has a heart or not, and how he didn't really give Grogu a choice. He knew what Grogu was going to choose. He was going to choose the Beskar, and I said that in that video before this episode even came out. And a lot of people didn't agree with me that he would choose the Beskar. They figured he'd choose the lightsaber, therefore helping retcon the sequel trilogy. Well, let me give you guys a little hint. They're not going to retcon the sequel trilogy. That's all stuff that was started up by tabloid YouTubers. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Disney is going to protect their investment. And they've invested a lot of money in this. Look, if you go to Galaxy's Edge, you'll see just a portion of the money they've put into the sequel trilogy. But I wouldn't put it past them to come out with new content that would improve the sequel trilogy. Kind of like what they did with the Clone Wars animated series. They improved the prequels in the eyes of the people that hated the prequels. Now everybody universally loves the prequels because of the Clone Wars stories. So look for that to kind of happen, and if you don't agree with it, that's fine. That's your opinion. You don't have to like the sequel trilogy. We don't have to agree on everything, as long as we're civil and we're kind to each other. And with that said, everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is Gerald with Star Wars Fanatic signing off, wishing you all health and happiness. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.